video.
In Death Knight DPS, and I'm interested to see. It's a pretty big roller coaster, right? I think in the like the promotional materials, they're like,
Hi, bro. Nice arms.
like we've reworked Unholy, and then the first patch was just like only Frost changes, and like Unholy had barely any. Like, what do these specs look like to you? It doesn't have to be Raid or Mythic Plus necessarily yet. Just like, what do you think about the reworks in general?
Let's.
How long is this video, by the way? Does anyone know? Is it like how long is the DK segment? I know how long the video is, but how long is the DK segment?
Start with the one that's kind of a nothing burger, Unholy. The changes to Unholy are, I don't know how else to put it other than it's the same thing, just with like a slightly different coat of paint. Like, nothing's really different there. It doesn't play any different, doesn't really add any new tools for things for it to do. It's just bland, the same as it ever was, same as it's been since Legion. It's just kind of whatever.
It's not that long. Okay, cool.
When it comes to Frost, though, the Frost changes are actually really, really good in a lot of ways, but also a little bit awkward in others. But in general, Frost like got a top-down rework to basically its entire talent tree. Changes a lot of things about how it plays, a lot of tools it has. But the thing I don't particularly love about it is they kept the playstyle essentially the same. So, like, if you're familiar with Frost already, you could probably just pick it up and play it in, 11.2 without any issues at all, just because of how similar it is at its core.
Spending killing machine. Spending running power to try and get a killing machine of things. And the obliteration window in Pillar. Still the same, to be fair. Pop and breath.
Yeah, I actually personally, this totally, maybe I shouldn't even say, but I actually kind of don't like it. I feel like it took there was definitely some like quality of life changes that were really nice, but I don't, and I.
What? Yeah, I'm intrigued to see.
I'm in the minority here.
I'm intrigued to hear this.
But I just don't like what they did to breath. They made it like pretty brainless, and I miss that part of it. And I like I was looking, and this is.
I do not at all.
Also another stupid thing. You know how like everyone has like their little UI packages now, and like they have their big buttons that matter on the top bar, and then like they have their utility stuff on a
exclamation mark UI. Get my UI.
Smaller bar just below it, bro.
For Twitch subs.
Bro, that top bar for Frost DK got fucking nuked. Like the amount of buttons that are on there, like you don't care about tracking D&D anymore. Remorseless Winter's gone. It's just like you're just looking at it, and it's just aesthetically not big.
On Twitch, sorry, the command doesn't work on YouTube. Some shit.
Bigger than the utility row, and that's just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's Frost basically boils down now to just press shiny button. It's like different coat of paint for ret.
Yeah, I feel like Frost was so much more than that, but I know there's just this part of the community that just absolutely hated a lot of the stuff that made them different for a long time, and maybe Blizzard just caved on that. But also, here's the thing, ret is really basic, but it's also still really well designed and really well made. You can make a basic easy WoW class that also has high levels of...
Listening to Max, who isn't playing Frost more than on a dummy or for more than 15 minutes, so yeah,
mastery and stuff, and it's fun to do over and over again. So I'm not saying it isn't that, but would you say generally you're positive about it, the Frost one?
Frost, yeah, generally positive. Probably like if I had to rate it on a scale like 1 to 10, it'd be like a 7. Better than average, but not like incredibly cool.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a 10. It was a 10. Like actually, the way that Frost feels is a 10. The way that Frost feels is a 10. The way that Frost, I don't know. I think that 7's a bit harsh.
So I know they've gotten a lot of changes recently, but I would just ask this right away. Do you think they are a meta Mythic Plus spec, Frost or Unholy?
Neither of them right now, especially after the nerfs to Deathbringer, especially Frost a couple days ago. I don't think Frost stands a chance anymore. Like, it'll probably be an A-tier spec for Mythic Plus, but that's about as high as I'd put it for now.
The second he says A-tier, straight up there. An S-tier class is something that needs to be in the group. So like a mage. a mage and back then a hunter, that would be an S tier class. Like you weren't making a group and being like, oh, I need a Frost DK. But with a mage, it's like, yeah, you needed that. So then it's like, okay, so Frost DK does loads of damage, and it's got some utility, but it's not got utility that you need to have in a key. So you pop it down to A. But now damage is comparable to other classes, so maybe it would even go down again. But
it could see some play with some comps, but I don't think it's going to be meta. As for Unholy, oh man, how much can I rant?
I trust you to be like pretty interesting while you're doing. You can rant away.
Okay, so Unholy, when it comes to Mythic Plus, is in this really awkward spot because they changed a bunch of stuff on the talent tree to kind of make it do the same thing it was already doing, but they also pulled back the utility. I mean, the same applies for Frost too, but you know, we have worse AMZ. We no longer have Abomination's Limb.
Yeah.
So our Mythic Plus utility kind of got like cut in half.
Yeah.
And all Unholy really ever brought to Mythic Plus was just a ton of AoE damage. But with the changes to the talent tree and the new talents they introduced, it kind of just doesn't compete in that same niche anymore, especially when you account for like the Bursting Swords nerf, or cap, I should say. There's a lot of factors that play into it that makes Unholy just not really that impressive anymore. It's probably like mid B tier at best. Just took a spec and gutted it.
Yeah, so we know that that's not true because we have seen today that both Sandlane and Ryder are dominating, if not better, than Frost. So Frost is an A tier, Unholy should also be an A tier. There's no difference between the two. Damage profiles are the same. Every 45 seconds you have a shitload of burst, especially with the commander build. And you've got good single target now as well. So wherever Frost is, Unholy is as well. If we're stripping it right back down to just their damage.
Damn. Okay. I mean, that wasn't a long rant at all. But yeah, no, I agree with that. Although they were like the best DPS spec for an entire season, and I don't think that's been that's pretty hard to come by for DK. So at least that's a W. That happened.
Yeah, it was a good season.
Okay, so going into raid for both of these specs, you can start with either one, but just how do you see their raid viability working? And
all right, so they're going to move on to raid now, I suppose. So they might not talk about Mythic Plus again, but in my opinion, I think they're both A tier classes because, I mean, they're both slap. They're both slap fucking hard. The only problem is you could say priority damage, but I'm not seeing that as being much of an issue with Unholy because, I mean, you get the mages and the mages do the priority damage for you, and everything does hit quite hard. And I mean, you could switch out and then stop doing Epidemic and go into Deathcore, but Deathcore is so gutted, so like you couldn't even really do that. And I'd say you have a little bit more just spread AoE damage with Unholy, but you get the benefit of laying into one mob with Deathbringer Frost. You still get to lay into one mob way more than Ryder would. So if you had Ryder Frost DK versus Deathbringer Frost DK, you can choose. Do you want to do 1% more damage overall at the end of the dungeon? Or do you want to have more meaningful damage in different places, and therefore you play Deathbringer? Also, with Deathbringer, you just need to complete your burst rotation. You just have to do that one time, and then you're done. Get your Reaper's Mark out, get your Exterminate spent, do your Bone Grinder to 5 stacks before Reaper's Mark explodes. Once you've done that, you are good to go for the rest of the key. Well, until you get to the next 45-second window. But after that, like if you fuck shit up, it doesn't really matter because all your burst is all here, and then it's done. Whereas with Ryder, it's a constant flow. And then after your burst is done, you have to, not even just your burst, but let's just break burst into the first half of your burst and the second half of your burst. With Ryder, the first half and the second half both need to be done precisely with popping Trollblade's Fury. But Deathbringer just has the first half. You just have to complete the standard popping a Bone Grinder, popping a Reaper's Mark. That's it, that's done. And then after that, you don't need to play the game and focus too much. You're just pressing shiny buttons. So Ryder is arguably harder to play. So in Mythic Plus, I would say when there's so much shit going on, you just want to have Deathbringer done. You just shoot it, done it, and then you're playing the normal game and doing the damage on top of that. And not to mention as well, the Rhyme damage that comes with it, because Rhyme is so good, you have to press Rhyme. You don't really get that with Ryder. Then again, with Mythic Plus, with Unholy, it's just flat damage everywhere. So it's like, because Unholy now has the same sort of benefits that Frost had, where you go into a Frost single target spec, AoE spec, you have all the single target benefits. You have that now with Unholy, and you have a bit of execute. You have a tiny bit of execute with Deathbringer as well.
Actually, maybe what you can start with is
looking hench today. Stop it. Same. I don't know why they take protection warriors so high. Yeah, well, this is for raid, so I mean, I'm not too sure. I did some raid testing, but I probably did not do anywhere near the extent that Max did. But for Myth Plus, damage is really low. Prio is not for being meta. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't bring something like I said. The meta is something you need to have in your group. Like right now, Shadow Priests are fucking owning, doing loads of damage and provide power infusion. Like that's something you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll bring a Shadow Priest for that. But other than wounds, isn't Unholy really that bad? I don't think so. Not after we played today. I think after today, it's really changed my mind on it. Any word from Unholy about the Ghoul? He said that he can have a look at it after the race to world first when he's got more time. But honestly, he's not the biggest. It's like very far below, very far down on his list of things that are important to him. I played this entire Unholy expansion and I'm starting to enjoy Frost Deathbringer. And you will, because it does feel good. Right, let's move into the raid.
This might also be a rant. How you feel about their opinion on, you mentioned their Mythic Plus utility got cut in half, but like technically their raid and utility got increased. Although I know within the DK community, there are still people that are like in raid, it's not actually buff because like they don't get absorbed. Like it doesn't actually get absorbed in raid. And I'm looking at that like, bro, when we put down AMZs and like when we're doing the raid and there's raid AoE happening, that shit actually just gets vaporized instantly. So it's like, for me, it's like in my opinion, like AMZ's way, way better in raid.
I think that's so true. Like you only, oh shit, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub, you little legend. Thank you very much, Vitoli. Love you. Fucking beast. Yeah, I agree. I think that the AMZ change is good. Like the AMZ had a cap before. That's not good. Now it doesn't have a cap, so you can use it for some fucking proper techers. Well, we continue.
But I'm interested to hear your take on it and just like, what do you think about that whole situation? They say they're going to make grips always something that is needed.
Okay, yeah, this is absolutely going to be a rant, like you said. So let's start with AMZ. The AMZ changes in general, they are a buff for Mythic Raid, especially when you're looking at like the cutting edge crowd. If you're going to be pushing the bleeding edge, you're going to be, raiding Mythic, in the first couple of weeks, AMZ will absolutely be a buff for you. But pretty much everybody else in the entire game, it's a nerf because they'd never hit that absorb cap anyway. So it's basically just doubled cooldown, absorbed less damage in general, and overall the AMZ stuff is going to be a nerf to like 99% of players because only the 1% is doing that Mythic rating push. And then there's Abomination Limb, which I mean, I'll be real, wasn't that useful in raid. So that's kind of like a whatever change. Last time I think Abomination Limb was actually useful in raid was like Anduin.
Yeah, Anduin was really sick. I mean, it was always, I think it wasn't that it wasn't.
I've had more times where I've actually wiped the raid because of A-Bomb Limb than helped.
Yeah, I'd say Anduin was the last time it was needed. I think what they said was it existed as an option, and it's just, you could just death grip a bunch of things by just pressing one button, and it happens so infrequently that it basically just replaced the need for death grip to matter as to why they removed it, which I guess there's like some truth to that, but then you'd have to reduce the amount of grippable targets going forward. But yeah, anyways, keep going.
Yeah, and then you have the grip changes, which reducing the cooldown, that's kind of fine.
They said, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, he's speaking facts. Like, what's the point of having Abomination Limb? What's the point of having Death Grip if you just got Abomination Limb?
And they said, their goal is to make Death Knight's utility in raid something that, rivals Warlock, where it's not directly a raid buff. They've, in my honest opinion, completely failed at that still. Because grip and AMZ are still not universally.
Yeah, Hellstones are turbo bis on every fight. They're crazy. Gateway, I would say Gateway is pretty close to grip, right? Like there for about as many fights as you like. Gateway is nice. Grip is also nice. Maybe Gateway is a little bit better.
You want to know how many things I gripped this raid? I gripped ads on Sticked when I was farm. They didn't even need me because they killed it without me. I gripped nothing else. This raid that we've just had, I gripped nothing.
But like, I'm not even talking about the wipe recovery stuff, which is probably also invaluable, but literally just Hellstones are useful / required on every single hard Mythic raid boss, and grip just isn't, right?
Yeah, and that's the major thing. Like, we're lacking something that's universally applicable, something that's good on
Grip this.
every fight, something that makes DKs want to be there for every single fight rather than them, gambling on, hey, the final boss here absolutely needs grip, and then everybody just puts on the BFA belt and knocks him back anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Well, I don't like that, but I like the passion. All right, so we are ranking DK for raid. All those things considered. We can probably just purely think about their throughput.
Yeah, let's start with Frost. After the nerfs the other day, I'd probably put it like high B tier, maybe like right above Fury.
Okay. Wait, I just tried to put them in a different. Wow. I'm not even gonna tell you what I just tried to do.
I'm watching you on stream.
Yeah,
right now.
that's crazy. I just did that. Okay.
Grip is not a raid buff. Grip is not a raid buff.
Yeah, so Frost, high B tier. It's not the best spec, but it does bring some really nice, ability to do both single target and cleave, which this raid has a lot of. And that's like Frost's biggest strength, where it can have builds where it does both. But its damage just isn't there anymore after the nerfs, which, brought it back from, low S to high B, and it's just a bit of a shame.
Yeah. Okay. Unholy.
Frost has a very desirable damage profile for a raid. Think of Overnax. No one was competing with you in Overnax. Alright. I think it comes out the woodworks. Burst AoE and somewhat sustained AoE is very good. I would say he has a point though. Just like Fury, well, to be honest, Fury Warrior brings Brattle Shout. Windwalker brings debuff. BM Hunter brings just Lust, maybe? Survival Hunter, same thing. We don't even have that. We have one AMZ, and we have grips that we don't even use. We actually want Monk for the buff. So if Monk and Frost do the same amount of damage, you bring a Monk. So this is Dobby.
Bottom of Dobby. Like, there's no reason to play the spec and raid right now. It doesn't do anything special. It can't cleave. It has a little bit better single target than average, but that's still not a reason to bring Unholy.
Okay.
But then again, it's the same thing. Their damage is comparable to each other now. It's basically the same, except it has an execute. So, and everything Frost can do, Unholy can do as well, but Unholy has an execute. So if you have a fight where execute damage is important, this is important. Not to mention as well, if you play Unholy, you take buffs and from other people much better, if that makes sense. Like Lust, you really like the haste from Lust. You don't really give a shit about the haste from Lust with Deathbringer. Obviously, I'm solidifying that. Solidifying? I'm squeezing that down. Like, everyone loves Lust, but no one loves Lust like Unholy does. So PI, Lust, all that makes you a really good target, which means you are good to be in the raid because you're a good target for these things. Otherwise, they can go to waste. But again, I do think it's a bit weird that they're in different categories considering they're the same DPS.
And we talked about the raid buff thing a little bit, but like
same DPS, except they do like Unholy's DPS is probably like Unholy has its niche, Frost has its niche, therefore they're the same.
Like, just in general, if there's anything you would change about DK, if you could, what would you do?
I mean, there's obviously the raid buff thing, but the biggest thing right now would probably be taking a look at just the utility in general, because you have stuff like Death Grip, AMZ, but then there's differences between the specs in terms of the utility. Like Blood has Gorfian's Grasp, Frost has, it's Froststorm's Fury, which will stun enemies, but Unholy gets kind of shafted in that regard, because it can't even use Control Undead in the spec tree without losing its primary pet. It doesn't really have anything in the class.
Fair enough. I've never controlled Undead in the raid, ever.
Tree either. So, like, look at Death Knight utility. That'd be my thing for him.
No, I think that's definitely...
Kind of sounds like I'm arguing with him, but I'm not. I actually agree with him.
Definitely real and true. Like, compare it to other like melee stops you would have in a dungeon. Even like it's just lacking
Yeah.
in like pretty much every area there. All right, cool.
Yep.
Love to hear that. Thanks.
Dungeon wise, completely, yeah, completely fair. I actually have controlled on dead stuff in dungeons before. It's been a long time, but I have done. So yeah, he makes perfect sense with that. Raid, not so much.
Thanks for still taking the call, especially with the meth thing, and obviously good luck to you guys this tier. Hope you have fun doing.
Yep.
Analyst jobs are weird, man.
Yeah, that's probably it. Which is good though, because that means you can now head off. But yeah, I think they are kind of in the right space, but like you would put them both at the same level with each other. Like, yeah, Dobby, I don't understand that. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of dooming going on in this, and it's not his fault. Like, I think he knows a lot more about Unholy. He also knows a lot about DK. So, no shade, no hate, no nothing. But my personal opinion is that I think wherever you put Frost, you put Unholy as well. So if you're putting Unholy in B tier and it can't get out of B tier, then Frost surely goes there too. The only I wouldn't even say that a difficulty difference would separate them, because they're not. Unholy is not difficult now. Well, yeah, so like Warlock, it would get us to A. Yeah, I don't think grip. You have to design fights around grip, which means that if you do that, you then have to bring a DK, which then puts them into a higher tier than what they already are, because you have to do it. But you have to bring, like, in order for grip to work, you kind of have to. Unholy damage profile is worse compared to Frost. Is it? I don't think it is. Like, the priority damage thing, that's not really a thing anymore. 45-second burst, you've got that. AoE, target cap. Maybe you could see Frost doing a better target cap, that's it. So unless you're doing Mythic Plus and its pools of like 20, then that's where Frost would shine. Which, would you put that into another tier for that? Considering Unholy has its damage profile as well, like Execute, which is good, which is worthwhile. Imagine you have a boss fight where you need to kill the boss in a certain amount of time from 30% to 0. Frost wouldn't do that anywhere near as well as Unholy would, and that might be the difference between killing it if you brought 2 Unholies versus 2 Frost DKs to the raid. So arguably, I'd say that's a more important damage profile to be good at than being able to do 20 targets, uncapped AoE. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion on DKs at the moment and how they're looking. Yeah.